Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to episode 7 of the Lester Kitching Show. Today's going to be a really good episode. It's a topic that's got a lot of attention over the last couple of weeks. And I wanted to share my thoughts on it and see whether I could help turn it into something that's not just a viral moment, but something that we can actually take away from it and something valuable rather than just the pile on that seemed to have happened over certainly the last 7 to 10 days. Everyone seems to be on it. And yeah, I'm going to probably go against the grain. I'm not here to kind of pile on that topic. I'm here to maybe give a bit of a balanced view on it, a little bit of insight, and hopefully something that might land with you and really, really help you out. So yeah, enjoy the show. We are going to dive into the topic. Normally I do Q&A style ones, questions that people have asked me over social media, or I've had conversations in consultations or on the gym floor. And I take these questions, these challenges, make them anonymous. So obviously the people aren't directly identified, but ultimately we tackle those challenges that people are facing. And rather than actually from a personal experience that I've had with speaking to someone, it's going to be someone who is very, very famous. It's the man, the host of Diary of a CEO. He's been on Dragon's Den, Steven Bartlett. So he is definitely a very controversial figure. People seem to either love him or hate him, and it seems to be probably the tide over the last 12 months is that people are moving towards the latter rather than the former. And he recently was on a podcast and he mentioned that he had a couple of glasses of wine and it ruined his life for 3 days. So we're going to talk about that today, because ultimately that is a really strong statement. And diving straight into that, the first defense I would make for him is that I think it's just been a really poor choice of words. To say that you've ruined your life for 3 days is a really, really over exaggerating and making it really, really dramatic. And I think that probably hasn't helped him in terms of how people have taken what he said. And when people are quick to judge on social media, and also for people who are quick to judge for someone who's doing very successfully, whether you like him or not, you can't argue that he is successful in what he does. But at the same time, if you don't like him, and I would probably put myself in that camp. I don't particularly feel like I really dislike him, but I definitely wouldn't say I'm drawn to him. I feel like there's something about him that just doesn't click for me, and that's just the way it is. That you might be listening to this thinking this might be your first time you're hearing me and thinking, do you know what I mean, I don't quite land with Lester. He doesn't quite click with me, and I think that's a bit for me with Steven Bartlett. I've just never quite kind of got that vibe from him. Just something about him that I just don't quite click with. And at the same time, if there's people online who are probably in the same camp, and when he said something like it's ruined my life for 3 days, and you already have a bit of a dislike for him, whether that's genuinely grounded in some reason or it's just you just don't quite get his vibe, then people are going to pile on top of you. So I think he's really done himself over in the words that he chose, because saying that you've ruined your life for 3 days off the back of anything is going to get people's backs up. And especially when you're talking about alcohol, which is something that people do get quite strong opinions on, whether they drink or they don't drink. I mean, it seems to be a lot more common nowadays that people don't drink, but at the same time, there definitely is more of a topic for debate, and people definitely have stronger opinions on that. And anytime it comes up with something as sensationalized as the way that he said it, with such a platform that he's got, it's going to get attention, it's going to get traction. So yeah, first defense for him, his words were dramatic, but we've all said something like that before. I remember thinking back to your years younger, when you were just getting to go to pubs and clubs, and you're maybe a student at uni, and you've drank too much, and you've woke up with a really bad hangover. You thought, oh my God, I just feel absolutely terrible. I'm never drinking again. Oh my God, I ruined my life for a few days afterwards. Like, you could see that happening. And I imagine that you've probably said something like that to the same effect yourself. And he's just said it on a podcast that has millions of listeners, and he's blown up on social media for it. And he's in a climate now where when people say something wrong and they're in the spotlight, or people say something controversial or topic or something that could be taken as wrong, people jump on it because it's a way to get attention. So he's kind of done himself over the wording. The other one I would say in his defense is he's kind of sharing his personal experience. I think from the clip that I'd seen, I've not listened to the full episode because I'm not a huge fan of his, but from the clips I'd seen, listening to this kind of head of the show, he's kind of just sharing his experience. He didn't drink for a while. He decided to have a couple of drinks, and then it's really, really hit him hard. And he's not necessarily making it a lecture or saying that people shouldn't drink or whatever it may be, but he's just kind of just sharing his experience. And I think, again, we're all entitled to have that experience. And if he's felt really, really bad for a few days afterwards, after drinking alcohol, then who are we to argue? That's his experience. He's not saying that everyone should stop drinking. I don't think he said on the episode that he shared that it really impacts him, but he's not saying that people shouldn't drink at all. And he might have highlighted that there are side effects with drinking, and they're well documented. We know that. We know that we wake up hungover. People just decide that I'm willing to take the hit. I'm willing to be hungover to have a few drinks the night before, or it's going to make me enjoy the social experience better. So I'm willing to be feeling rough and lethargic and sluggish the next day. These are all facts that we know. He's not necessarily saying anything that we don't. He's just sharing his experience, and he's got hit hard for it, just I think because the way he said it. Another caveat for him, another defense for him, I'm going to get to the bits where it's more critical, but another defense for him is he's obviously very, very successful in terms of what he does, and his calendar must be packed to the brim, and every second probably counts for someone like that in that position. And a big part of it is probably getting into flow, and when you've woke up hungover, it's hard to get into flow. Your sleep's bad. Your cravings are all over the place. And I think you mentioned that on the podcast that his sleep was really poor, where he's really wanting rubbish foods and all that kind of stuff. And also just your concentration, your output, your energy levels are going to be really suppressed. So if he's got a lot of pressure on his plate, running, I don't know how many companies he's got, but he's obviously got lots of responsibilities, lots of pressure. And imagine every minute in his day is kind of accounted for in his calendar. For him to be 3 days out of sync and running at lower capacity than what he normally is, probably he's going to feel that more than you or me, who are just kind of the more everyday person, for want of a better word. Obviously we're all equal in terms of who we are, but in terms of his level of success, that I'm certainly not at that level. And for me, I could probably get away with it more than he could, because he's got more riding on everything that he does. So his response is going to have a bigger impact on his life, and again, that's why it probably felt like to him it did ruin his life. His decision to actually stop drinking and decide that, okay, I've stopped drinking for a while, I've then tried it again, and I think he said he almost just does a little bit of an A/B test, which is a very robotic way to think about it, but he kind of mentioned that, I believe, and he's then decided, okay, well, I really didn't enjoy that experience, so I'm not going to drink again. And that's totally fair. That's absolutely fair. So I think for us, for people who've piled on top of him, I think it's the way that he's worded it, and also that's just the way that people can go viral. Do you know what I mean? We have loads of these stitch videos and green screen videos, and if you mention someone who is very much in the spotlight, especially at a time when a specific thing they've said is blown up, you get a chance to ride on those coattails. And if you pile on and make a equally sensational video about it, or a comment on it, then again you can kind of ride on that momentum and build your own audience and benefit from that by just joining on the bandwagon. So I think really in his defense, he's not done too many things wrong, as long as he's not turned it into a lecture to say people shouldn't drink and nobody should drink. But I think what actually is going to be the real value for today's show is talking into why did it make people so angry? And you might have also reacted quite strongly to this when you've heard that. It might have been a, oh, what a drama queen kind of vibe that you've when you first heard it. But some people did have a really strong visceral reaction to it, and really went on the offense, whether they do drink or they don't drink, really went on the attack and said, do you mean this, I mean, just the typical bollocks you see on social media. But do you mean really they've really taken a strong response to that, and that might be they genuinely feel that, or it might be that they're just chasing attention and wanting some traffic for themselves. But there's a few things that why other people's actions might make you angry. And in this instance, it's Steven Bartlett drinking some wine and saying that it made him feel terrible for 3 days, so he stopped drinking. Now that could also be that someone in your life who goes to the gym 6 o'clock on a morning every single weekday, and their actions kind of trigger you a bit. Or it might be that when you go out for food with friends or family, you have that friend who is in great shape, but won't get a dessert or won't have any kind of sweet treats when she's out, when he or she is out with you, and that might trigger you as well. And what we want to talk about on today's show, and I think this is going to be really valuable for you if you're listening, is that why did it, and let's look into why and understand what's behind that. So first of all, you've got the sacrifice mirror, as we're going to call it in this instance. So Steven Bartlett is showing you that he's ready to make this level of sacrifice. And if you drink a lot, if you drink quite every now and again, but you really enjoy it, if you want to get results, but you know that alcohol is going to be slowing you down, and it definitely will be. Again, we'll come on to whether that's an acceptable cost or not. But he is someone who is deemed as successful by society, whether he is or isn't, or whether you like him or not. And he's making sacrifices that you maybe aren't prepared to make. And that can trigger people because they see someone who maybe they aspire to be, or someone ahead of them, whether they like them or not, doing something that they know that they probably should do, or they know that would benefit them, but they aren't willing to do it themselves. So when you see your friend who gets up at 6 a.m. to go to the gym every weekday morning before work, that might trigger you a bit, because you might think, oh well, what a life is that? Like, that's a terrible way to live, whatever it may be, whatever you say about that scenario. But deep down, there may be an element of you that's recognizing that that person is making that sacrifice to get in the gym because they're making time, whereas you're blaming time. And that can trigger people, and it's that sacrifice mirror that's being put up in front of you. The other one would be, the second one for kind of that, is he is sharing what he feels without accusation. He's not blaming. He's not saying that people shouldn't drink necessarily, but he's highlighting the impact that it has, and that can lead to, as the listener, as you hearing that can lead you to feeling guilty for drinking, even though he's not directly saying that you are less of a person for drinking. There's an inference there, and you can infer that, okay, well, I do drink, therefore I feel guilty about it. And this boils down to how secure we are in ourselves and our decisions and our choices. And if we feel like we know that we shouldn't be drinking, maybe we drink too often, or when we do drink, we drink too much, and then that means that we do ruin our life for a few days, to steal Stephen's words, then even though we know we shouldn't, when we are doing it, we can feel guilty because of that. We can feel his action, again, makes us feel guilty because we haven't been able to fix it ourselves. The next one would be kind of tying into again, we are aware of that. So we're aware that we're drinking when we maybe shouldn't, or we're drinking more than we should, and we're not doing things to put in place to reduce that, or we're not being in control of those decisions. We may feel like we are a victim to those circumstances, and that could be the same for foods that we have. That could be the same for kind of sitting on the sofa watching Netflix or scrolling on your phone. Any kind of thing that could be considered a bad thing, or an unproductive thing, if your goal is to get in the best shape possible and be as healthy as you possibly can. Now, there's awareness of that without you actually making the decision to do it. It's kind of like your default, your low standard level of yourself is to not go to the gym, or not go for a walk after work, or not play with the kids when they want to be doing stuff. You just want to plonk yourself on the sofa and watch something on Netflix, because that's just your lower level standard. And again, him making those decisions and talking about cutting out alcohol, making that decision to do that, highlights that you may be living in a way that's just a bit automatic, and really you know that you need to take control of that situation. So if you aren't in the shape that you want to be in right now, a lot of things that you probably are doing that aren't helping you will be habits, or just defaults, or routine. And if you're not feeling like you're making those decisions, you feel like a bit of a victim to them, and that's not a nice place to be. You feel like, I want to lose weight, but on Friday night our family takeaway night, or Saturday morning I take the kids to the football. I'm doing the kind of mum and dad's taxi, and I'm taking them to football, and I'll always grab something from the burger van while I'm watching them play, or whatever it may be. And it can be frustrating because you don't feel in control of your life. You are aware of the problem, but you're not working on fixing it. So again, that could be a reason why when someone is doing something, you get triggered. It could be that you might see that as, well, he or she is taking control of their situation, and they're making a decision and they're following through that decision. Whereas I'm just letting things kind of come at me and reacting poorly. And again, that puts a spotlight on us, and we don't like that. So we lash out and we say, oh, this person is too extreme. This person is too obsessed. This person doesn't have the right balance. Do you mean they're not really happy, whatever it may be? And ultimately, potentially, if we turn the spotlight on us, we can actually see that I'm getting that response because I'm not quite where I want to be. Another one that might be frustrating for a lot of people who've listened to that is the way that he kind of talked quite casually about that he stopped drinking, and that he had a couple of drinks, and then he decided again that he's going to stop drinking again. And now, obviously, alcohol is a little bit different in terms of an addictive properties, and that obviously makes it a little bit more of a loaded conversation. But he essentially made quitting look quite easy. The way that he talks about it, he makes it seem quite easy to quit. Whereas if you are someone who does quite routinely drink alcohol or drinks a lot of alcohol, or it might be your diet where you eat a lot of junk food and you know that you would like to eat less of it, but you can't seem to do it. You struggle. You've had a cereal diet as mindset. Again, that can be really frustrating, seeing someone, whether or not you like him or not, be able to quit in a way and talk about it in a way that almost made it seem like it felt effortless for him. Whereas you're over here feeling like you're really, really struggling. You're stopping and starting all the time. You feel like you're making loads of sacrifice, but you can't get it to stick. It's really, really, really frustrating. And lots of people I speak to are in that position. They feel stuck. They're in that kind of vicious cycle of stop, start, feel bad, stop, start, feel bad, stop, start, feel bad. And it can be really, really frustrating. And again, when you see, if you're in that position right now and you see someone who talks about quitting alcohol and the way that they make it sound quite effortless for them, can get you to think, screw you. Like, I'm really struggling here to control my thing, whether that is alcohol as well, or whether that's junk food, or whether that's getting in the gym. So again, that could be a reason why it triggered so many people, or it's triggered you. So that would be the things to consider, really. If you had that really strong response, or if you want to understand why people had that strong response, I would say those were the main things that were the cause of that. And now looking into kind of the actual legitimate criticism, I think, of what Bartlett said, and I think this will be also really valuable kind of part of that. So he is obviously in this grind hustle culture, this optimize everything culture, and whilst it maybe people do need to be more like him, there is you can also certainly be too much like him, in the sense of you can create so much stress in trying to be perfect that the benefit outweighs the cost of your imperfections. So the stress of going teetotal may be worse than having the odd drink every now and again. The stress of cooking everything from fresh and eating 100% clean, organic, no processed foods can be worse than the harm caused by eating a bit of processed foods every now and again, having some chocolate every now and again. So that pursuit of perfection can in itself create so much stress, so much anxiety, so much rigidity, so much removal of joy from your life that even if you do stick to it, which a lot of people won't be able to, but even if you do stick to it, the benefits are cancelled out almost by the stress that it's caused. And you would be better served having maybe a little bit more of a balanced approach to that. So it's not the 100% clean eating, organic, cook from fresh every meal. It might be that 25 meals a week, and you have 3 or 4 meals a week which are processed, which are a bit more junky food, if we're going to use that term. Because that might feel like it makes it easier to fit around when life's really busy and you haven't got, you genuinely come home after a busy day of work, you sorted the kids out, you're absolutely exhausted, you don't want to cook from fresh, you just want to grab something out of the fridge. And that can be still something that you can get results with without having to put all this pressure on ourselves to be perfect. So if you are trying to be perfect, which is definitely in this arena that Steven Bartlett's in and this podcast's in, and this constant need to optimize, it can almost, the benefit is outweighed by the stress and panic and anxiety that it can cause. Another thing to consider as well is, if you are constantly looking at every single metric and you are constantly obsessing over them, then are you actually genuinely kind of living and enjoying life? Because you're always kind of chalking up, okay, well, do you mean I went out and saw my friend on Friday night and it was great to catch up, but now I've got my Whoop app. It's telling me that my sleep was really poor because I didn't get to bed till like 11 o'clock because we obviously were out late and we had a few drinks and we had some food. And then also it shows my heart rate variabilities higher or lower than it was. And I've got so many metrics. We can have so many metrics in our life now, and we know how to optimize them, but we don't know that the cost of optimizing them. And oftentimes it can just kind of suck the joy out of everything. And we're always kind of feeling there's a cost to something. A lot of the things that we enjoy, those social things that we enjoy, can come with a bit of a cost. Like if you go out for a night out, your sleep's going to suffer. If you have a few drinks, do you mean you're physically going to suffer because of that? If you have some certain foods, do you mean that might cause you to suffer in certain ways? But we have to do a bit of a cost benefit analysis of those things, and having a couple of drinks and staying up a little bit late to catch up with a friend you don't see very often, the benefit of that social connection, the benefit of that enjoyment, the benefit of that recharge for you mentally is far, far greater than the cost of having a couple of drinks and only getting 6 hours sleep rather than 8. So this constant need to optimize everything can really crush us down. And if you're in that position where you feel like you can't win, that might be one of the reasons why. Like, I don't wear one of the smartwatch. I don't wear a smartwatch because I feel like I am quite a statty person. I do like to me, when you see your numbers for certain things, like, it can be something you kind of get quite addicted to and you really get into. And I think if I had a smartwatch that would show me all these metrics and I was constantly bombarded with them on my watch and my phone, that it would just take it could be something that you obsess over that actually ends up costing you more than it brings. And I think for most people, we don't need to know the ins and outs of everything to know that we're on the right track. So for me, I think you could just use the weight on your scales is a decent one to start with. Now, it's not the perfect measure and there will be natural fluctuations, but do you mean if I gain a stone over a couple of months, then do you mean my health's probably worse than it was when I was a stone lighter, if I'm in a healthy weight range. Same if I lose a stone really quickly. Again, if I'm now becoming an underweight, if I'm now becoming unhealthy in that perspective, then that can affect it. If my sleep is poor quality, if I'm waking up loads during the night, I don't need a watch to tell me that. If I just feel really low, my energy's low, my mood's low, then again, I don't need a watch to tell me that. I can feel that. Whereas I think sometimes if we have these smartwatches and these devices that track everything, one, there's the question of reliability, like how accurate are they? Because I know smartwatches, in terms of calorie expenditure, how much it predicts you burn, calories wise, is vastly overrated and vastly overestimated. So how accurate are all the other things? Like, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But how accurate is the heart rate monitor? How accurate is the sleep tracker? How accurate is everything else that goes on, our blood oxygen, all the sorts of stuff that it can do? And I'm sure there's tens and tens of other metrics that it measures just through a watch. Like, how accurate is that? I don't know. But I could see people seeing numbers go up or down and feeling good or bad about it, when actually maybe they've not gone up or down. It's just that the measurement device is not accurate. So that over optimization can just draw the fun out of everything, basically, because a lot of the things that we do are not optimized. Staying up late and going out for drinks with friends isn't an optimized way to live if you want to get in the best possible shape. But kind of bringing it back to you right now, listening to this show, you probably don't need optimization. You need to nail the fundamentals on a consistent basis and find a way to do that that's quick, easy, enjoyable, and fits around your schedule, and has flexibility built in. So if you do have a busy week with social events, you can enjoy that week and still make progress. When work's quiet, social life's quiet, family life's quiet, you can really push on in the gym and in your diet, and you can make really great progress. And ultimately, we don't need to over optimize for that. For you, it could be, I'm just going to get exercise and get moving times a week. And I have clients that work with me who do fantastic on 2 sessions a week, or they'll do 2 sessions with me and then they'll do a class, or they'll do some walking, or they'll go to a yoga class as well, or whatever it may be. So we don't need to be in the gym 4, 5, 6 times a week, and we don't need to optimize the hell out of our workouts to get great results. We can get great results with 2 sessions a week, 3 sessions a week, as long as we're doing the right things. Now, if we're in the gym and we're just kicking our heels and not really getting much done, not really putting in the effort, no real strategy, no real program, then yeah, probably 2 or 3 sessions a week, it isn't going to help us massively. But also 5 or 6 sessions a week probably isn't going to help you massively if you're not putting in the effort and you're not following the right kind of plan for you. So we want to make sure we're doing the right things, but once we get the right things in place, we don't need to go to the extremes that Bartlett might live at. So for you, it might be that you do drink or you don't drink. It's just a case of making a decision on that and accepting that if you do drink, you know that you're going to be probably a bit tired, a bit more sluggish, not going to want to work out as much, and your cravings and hunger are probably going to be a bit more all over the place. But again, we might accept that and we might just say, okay, well, I'm going to go out and have an amazing time, catch up with my friends. I'm going to dance, I'm going to have a few drinks, I'm going to have an amazing night. At the same time, I accept that over the course of this week, maybe this isn't going to be my best week on the scales or in the gym or in how I look and feel, because I know that drinking and staying up late is going to have an impact on that. But the point is that you get to decide that and you get to make that decision. And if we can get in that place where we're making decisions and we're kind of weighing up the pros and the cons and the costs and the benefits to that, and we can still make progress towards losing that 2 stone that you've got right now that you want rid of, then you're going to feel very, very good along the journey as well. And also as well, you're going to feel in control, which is where a lot of clients that I work with come to me feeling they feel out of control. They feel like they've let themselves go. They can't get back on the wagon. If they do, they fall off again. They're in this stop-start cycle of serial dieting and stop and starting at the gym. And that can feel like you are lost and out of control with your life and your decisions, and you don't know what to do next. So what we want to do is kind of find that balance, make sure we're doing the right things, and also fit it around a normal life where we do have a bit of wiggle room to go and get coffee and cake with your mum on a birthday, or you want to go to the races and you want to have a couple of glasses of champagne or whatever it may be if you're feeling particularly fancy. But whatever it is, we want to build it around your life, and you absolutely can do that. So do you need to go to Bartlett extreme levels of sobriety to get results? Absolutely not. But at the same time, recognize that certain things that you may do may be kind of counterproductive, and it's a case of just weighing up the pros and the cons and making a decision that, okay, I'm willing to accept that if I do this week, I'm probably not going to have my best fat loss week, but at the same time, I'm okay with that, and I'm happy to make that trade-off. And over the course of a year, there will naturally be ebbs and flows when you have more stuff going on. Maybe you're unwell, so your sleep's poor. Work's really busy, so you don't have as much time to maybe get in the gym. You have social events that are coming up around summer. You've got weddings and whatever it may be. You've got holidays. So in those periods of time, your results might slow down, and you might just hold ground for that 1 week. You might just say, okay, well, this week I've got this, and this, and I'm okay with the fact that I'm not going to lose weight. But at the same time, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to recharge physically, mentally, and I'm going to hit the ground running on Monday morning to start again and push on for that next week. And over the course of 3 months, 6 months, a year, if you do that, you will get great results as long as you're doing the right things on your good weeks. And you can also fit that around life, so it doesn't feel like you have to have a perfect week, a perfect run, the stars have all aligned for you to make progress. Because guess what? If that if that time ever comes, it's definitely not going to last. So you might as well get used to getting results when life isn't perfect, because in terms of setting yourself up for the best results for fat loss and health, life isn't going to be perfect because you've got all the things we just mentioned there. So there we go, episode 7 of the show. I hope you really, really enjoyed it. I did enjoy doing this one. I didn't want it to be like another pile on Steven Bartlett, because I feel like a lot of people have done that. And I wanted to almost give like a different side of it, a different take that you might not have heard before. And hopefully that was helpful. If you are someone who's really triggered by it, there's some things to consider. Like, is there a reason? What's the reason behind that? Why have I had such a visceral reaction to someone not doing something, or someone doing something and finding it have a big impact in their life? Why should that matter so much to you? Now, you might say, well, he's a really annoying guy and he's everywhere. Fair enough. But ultimately, what's the underlying reason why you are so triggered? Because that might actually shine a spotlight on the thing that you need to fix right now. And then also as well, looking at the final part of that, this show has been looking at what's the practical implications we can take from that. We don't want to over optimize, and we can get good results whilst we enjoy things like a few glasses of wine on a weekend. And it doesn't have to feel like it ruins your life. But if it does, then you need to make a decision whether that's worth it or not for you. Either way, you can still get fantastic results. So it's up to you, basically, and you can make that decision, and you can be in control of that, and you can get fantastic results regardless of whether you do or don't. So if you enjoyed the show, I hope you did. You can request a free copy of my book, which will be the next best step, the next best thing for you to do. If you go to lesterkitchen.com/free, you can request your free book, enter your info, and I'll send a digital copy to you immediately so you can read it straight away. It's got lots of helpful stuff in there that covers nutrition, diet, exercise, mindset, how to fit all of that around a busy family life, a busy work life, a busy social life, and get results and keep them off without having to resort to these crash diets, weight loss injections, or workouts that you hate. So lesterkitchen.com/free to get your free copy of my book, or you can buy it off Amazon if you prefer a physical copy, whatever works best for you. Also, as well, if you enjoy the show, if you could do the usual stuff, like, subscribe, comment, and share it with a friend who might be going through these challenges as well. Maybe isn't in the shape that they want to be, and you know that they're trying, but they just can't seem to get it to click. Send them this episode. Send them something that might help them out as well. And make sure you check out the previous episodes I've done. It's episode number 7. So if you've enjoyed it, check out the others. I'm sure you will enjoy those as well. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you next week on the show. In between then, make sure you check out my Instagram. Follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram. Regularly share updates on there. Lots of behind the scenes stuff, lots of inspiring client success stories, so you can actually see real people just like you getting amazing results without having to do these extremes that we often think we need to do. And there's also strategies and things that I share that will be helpful for you. The final one is, if I do have any events coming up, I do occasionally run free educational live workshops where they're either in person or virtual, and we'll cover a topic. It might be nutrition, how to stop being a serial dieter. It might be exercise, how to get the best tone and shape after your 40s, or it might be mindset, where we're looking at things like the last one I previously did was talk about how to fix your negative self-talk and all and often mindset, and how to improve your body image. So if any of those sound interesting to you, make sure you follow me on Instagram. I regularly share posts about the events that are coming up, and I might see you at one. But have a fantastic rest of your day, and I hope you enjoy the show. Thank you. Bye.